Hello and welcome to Lawyerish, a podcast for the people. Lawyerish is a safe space to learn, grow, inspire, be inspired, and explore everything from current events, law, and politics to sex, love, entrepreneurship, and wellness. Come along and join us on this fantastic voyage. I'm Brandon J. Wallace, Esquire, and I'll be your captain. It's a whole vibe over here. This podcast is brought to you by Apex Group, where aptitude meets excellence. Let's jump right into current events. All right, well, if you've been watching the news this week, then you know that there was a Supreme Court case that was heard earlier this week regarding women's health and women's right to abortion and the rights of unborn children. Right? That is Mississippi Department of Health versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization. This case deals with a law that was passed in the state of Mississippi that has made it all the way up to the Supreme Court for arguments. We actually expect the Supreme Court to make a decision sometime this summer about whether or not the law that was passed in Mississippi, which banned abortions after 15 weeks, is actually constitutional. And from the looks of it, people are really, all the commentators are really thinking that this is the time, the time that a sea change is about to happen in our country regarding this, particularly with this case, right? The belief is that the court will likely overturn or substantially change Roe versus Wade, a law that was passed many years ago, about 50 or so years ago, that guaranteed a woman's right to an abortion. And ever since that case was decided, state legislatures across the country have been passing laws, have been doing their best to chip away at a woman's right to choose whether or not to have a child. And I have personally struggled with this a little bit. I think abortions are a difficult topic, and I have a tough time sort of navigating this, mainly because I can't have a child, right? I don't get pregnant, I can't get pregnant, and I think for me to try to dictate to someone else what they want to do with their body, especially something like this, right? Where pregnancy is a difficult thing, from my understanding, right? To carry a child inside of you, growing being inside of you, is a tremendous undertaking. And I think those decisions really should be made by a woman and her doctor. And I don't think the government really should have a role in it. But the other side of this is the argument that others make is we have a duty to protect the life of an unborn child, and we hear these arguments often. And I think at some point it has been compelling for lots of people that it is the government's job to protect the sanctity of life, is what the argument is, and that is somewhat compelling. I can see that being convincing and compelling to some. Where I'm challenged is what we see in our country is that we care for these unborn children. We care for the sanctity of life of children, innocent babies, as people would argue. But that concern seems to be so fleeting, right? We see after children are born, our urge or need to protect children diminishes, it seems. We don't want a welfare state. We have a tough time providing health care for them. That everything is a struggle, right? We don't want to have resources, right? Don't want to spend the money for their basic needs. And so I am challenged when I hear people say we have to protect the unborn children. And those same people don't talk about protecting the mother. In fact, what we see is aggression towards women, aggression towards their rights to be whole and healthy and happy and to decide their futures. And I'm challenged by that. And usually what we see, it's what I find even most challenging, it is that men without any medical background, no ability to carry or birth a child, are the ones who are making these decisions or trying to make these decisions on behalf of women. So I've given it some thought, and I think for those who care so much about these unborn babies and really want women to have these babies full term and deliver, I think what we should do is we should remove the fetus and implant it into a man who wants to carry the child, right? Or who wants to make sure that this child stays alive. I think they should be responsible for carrying the child full term, and then we can, we can have a C-section. I think that's how we resolve this, right? If the woman doesn't want to be pregnant, then let a man who wants to make rules about how a woman's body works, let him carry the child full term, and see how that goes. I think also in the alternative, while we're thinking about, we only think about abortions on the side of the woman, right? Not, we sort of completely we completely eliminate the man's role in pregnancy. So why don't we regulate men, right? Why don't we regulate men in their ejaculations, right? Why don't we snip and tuck these men? Why do we do that? It seems to me that if we want to avoid unwanted pregnancies, there are two ways that we can address it. One, by limiting access to abortion and contraception, but then we can also address the man's role in it and legislate around that. That's just my 2 cents. All right, well, now it is time for Lawyerish. You know what it is. Well, maybe you don't. But this is going to be the opportunity that I take to talk about being a lawyer. What is it like? What does it feel like? What do I do? And eventually, and over time, we will talk to other lawyers who have specific fields of practice, and we'll talk to them and we'll ask them questions, and we will have panel discussions even where we'll take your legal questions and try to give some guidance, not legal advice. And so this will be a very interesting space. This is Lawyer-ish. So I think what I'll do today is just kind of, many of you know that I am an attorney, practicing attorney. I'm licensed here in Washington, D.C. And I'm a transactional lawyer. I'm a general practitioner, but I work specifically with small businesses and churches and nonprofits and individuals who have particular needs, right, involving transactions, right? So selling things or buying things or real estate and the like, right? Apex Legal, where we are electric. If you've seen the commercial, then you know that electric is the acronym that I work from, and everything from entertainment law to landlord-tenant to entity formation and estate planning, copyright, trademarks, real estate, in-house counsel, and contracts of all kind. And so that's a lot. That is a lot to do, but that is the nature of being a transactional lawyer and a solo practitioner. And so, again, this will be the opportunity to answer questions and to discuss legal topics that are important to people in their everyday lives. I frequently get asked about some of the things that I do, from landlord-tenant disputes and lots and lots of contracts. I read, review, and write contracts for people and ensure that the meeting of the minds is clear and on paper. And so I've always wanted to be a lawyer. And I think initially my inspiration came from my third grade teacher, Miss Terry, in Memphis, Tennessee. And she established this kids' court. So when kids got in trouble, there was a court. She was the judge. Students were jurors. And there were attorneys who both prosecuted and defended the student who was in trouble. And from that moment on, I think I always wanted to be a lawyer. I also used to watch The Practice with my mother, and that was something that inspired me as well. I wanted to be like a lawyer, like on the television. And so I've always wanted to be a lawyer, and it took me a while to actually realize that dream. I knew that after undergrad, I actually was not ready to go to law school. I didn't want to go to law school. And so I went into the workforce and eventually decided to go back to school and pick up on this dream of going to law school. And here I am. And so it takes a really long time to be a lawyer, right? You've got to do the undergrad work, then there is actual law school, which is at least 3 years generally. And then there is the bar exam, which you have to take in order to be licensed to practice. You have to pass to be licensed to practice. If you don't know about the bar exam, it's a 2-day exam. And I think probably 6 hours each day. There's 3 hours during the day and then 3 hours in the afternoon, in the morning and then in the afternoon. The first day is all multiple choice questions. And then the second day is essays. Short answer and essays on the second day. So it takes a lot to be a lawyer, and it's not fun. It is the practice of law, and you have different lawyers who practice different types of law, from criminal law, which we see a lot on television, to acquisitions and mergers and business, which we see a lot of as well. But they're all different types of lawyers, from immigration lawyers and the like, right? Constitutional lawyers, there's professors. So there's lots to do in the field of law, and lots of different lawyers are doing lots of different things. We'll talk to some of them. Looking forward to it. Family lawyers and other general practitioners and employment lawyers and the like. So, I guess I'm being asked now to share some of my best and worst experiences. I would say one of the best experiences I ever had was working with a nonprofit client, a private club. They were trying to sell their property, and it was a TOPA issue. And TOPA here in DC is the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. So the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act allows tenants to purchase the property in which they reside, gives them the right of first refusal, which means they have an opportunity to purchase the property and stay in their homes rather than it being sold to some developer or someone else first. There are exceptions to this rule, and the tenants don't have to purchase. They just have to be given an opportunity to purchase. And so that requires notices to be sent and posted and records to be kept, that these things must happen. And so this particular client, before they got a lawyer, they did not follow the appropriate steps for their category of housing providers, right? And so because of that, they were unable to sell their property, and there was other people who got involved trying to take advantage of them. And as their attorney, it was my job to protect their interests and to get this property sold. And it was quite an accomplishment, because it was my threatening email to another developer. I won't say threatening, that's not the right word to say, right? It was my very assertive email, very strongly worded email to an outside developer that quashed the matter. And I shared with him that if he stood in the way of this deal, which had been delayed for 2 or 3 years now, been 2 years in the making, that if he stood in the way of us closing this deal, that I would personally gather all the partners, all the membership of the organization, their partnering organizations, their wives, their loved ones, and our friends. And then we would show up at every zoning hearing, every application that he ever submitted. We would be there. We would be picketing. We would be letting people know. We would call the news media. We would let them know what kind of dealer this guy was. And if he stood in the way of this 100-year-old organization, community service-based organization, if he got in the way of that, then we would make life hell for him. And I meant that. I told him that we would be at every zoning hearing, every council hearing, every deal that he ever did, he would find us there objecting to his efforts. And I meant that. And so this strongly worded email, and he was wrong on the law, by the way. He was just wrong, all the way wrong. He was sadly mistaken. And so because of that strongly worded email, he decided very wisely to rescind his objection, and the deal was able to go through. And that was a multi-million-dollar deal. And so that was one of my proudest moments. I always I like when the good guy wins. And so these guys were really a great organization doing great work. And this was a big challenge for them. And they've been trying to sell this property for a couple of years. And so it was my honor to help facilitate that. So that's Lawyerish. That's what I have today. We'll be taking questions. And so if you've got legal questions, and we got answers, and we will bring in people to talk about certain things that are important to you and important to them. We'll learn about their practice of law and some of their experiences about what has inspired them, and some of their worst experiences and best accomplishments and thoughts on the future of law. Can't wait to get into this more and learn what people have to say and understand what people need to know. Wellness is a journey. And so we will take time on this podcast to always do a wellness check. This is a space for us to discuss and prioritize our wellness, right? A little bit of self-care in a very challenging world. And as the year ends and holiday season is upon us, this can be a very difficult time. Stress levels are high. There's a lot of grief as we miss our loved ones and remember good times and bad. This time of year can be a challenge. And so it's critically important that we take care of ourselves, that we mind our wellness. And so today, I want to encourage you, when you feel anxious, when you feel afraid, to first recognize it, right? Be able to sense when your body is experiencing trauma or reliving trauma. Be able to feel it, to feel that your energy's off. We have to be able to recognize it. Two, I find it always helpful to name it, right? This is anxiety. I feel anxious about this. Or I'm feeling afraid, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling stressed out because of this or that. Being able to name it allows us to wrap our brain around it. And then finally, we have to take some sort of action, right? It's not enough just to recognize and name what you're feeling. It's important to take some sort of action, right? Whether that is getting in a workout, or just taking a break and watching a movie, prioritizing self-care, or meditating. That's one of the things I really enjoy doing. Or praying, or reading the Bible, or reading some spiritual texts, feeding your spirit. It's so important to take an action that's going to uplift you. I had a call today from a friend of mine who is experiencing challenges. And one of the things that he did was he called people that were important to him, and he asked them, what's the one thing that you think of when you think about me? And it was such a wonderful exercise. I was so proud of him for taking such courageous action. And I was able to share with him that he's a dependable friend and someone who I can always count on. And just imagine how he felt afterwards as he talked to people who he loves and who loves him. And they were able to pour into him. He fed his spirit. He took an action. And I think that's huge. And so I encourage you to take some action today. Do what needs to be done for you. This is your wellness check. Be well, my friends. Next, we have Andrea Lofton, our founder and chief executive of Bougie Body, a natural body care line. This business is based in Memphis, Tennessee, but servicing the nation. You can get everything from body butter and body oils to beard oils, soap, crock charms, and bath soaks. It's a wonderful business. Everything is handmade with love. Andrea Lofton, thank you for being here. Welcome to Lawyerish. We're so glad to have you today. How you feeling? How you doing, friend?
I am doing wonderful. Come on, Lawyerish. I love it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This Lawyerish, a podcast for the people. You've been a real big part of this, and as part of one of our first guests, I think I'm just so honored to just talk to you, because I'm super proud of you. You are the ish, okay? You know how I feel about you. We've been friends since high school, and we just have been on a journey together and continue to be so. And so I'm just so happy. I'm so proud of you, and I'm just so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay.
No, don't do this. Okay?
No, I'm kind of getting teary-eyed too. But no, we're gonna keep it light and airy. I'm excited, right? You've been in business now for like 6 months. You are rocking and rolling this. Actually, you've been in business longer, right, than 6 months. But you've been doing it. You quit your job and you really jumped full on into it and have been doing this for like 6 months. And I feel like that is just such an inspiration. I'm just so proud of you. You're doing the daggone thing, okay? And I want you to, keep rocking it out. So y'all go support my friend, okay?
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Listen, so why don't you tell us, first of all, what is a licensed esthetician? I don't know how to spell it. I don't know what that is, other than, what I learned from you. You're the only reason why I know that. So why don't you tell the people what a licensed esthetician is?
Okay, so I like to refer to myself as the extraction doctor, but I am a beautifier.
Okay.
For the people who are having any type of skin issues, you can come to me and we will work through a plan. We have products that'll get your skin clear. I love to extract hairs, ingrown hairs. I do blackhead extractions. And I wax as well.
Okay.
Literally. So, but you can do multiple things. But my specialty right now are waxing and facial.
Waxing and, did you say facials? Okay. So when you do a facial, right, or a wax, right? First of all, we're going to talk about waxing, but I want to get to that a little bit later. But I think there's this craze, right? Or not craze. There's this thing going on where people love to see extractions, right? And that's when you're taking the tweezers and you're popping bumps and you're pulling out hairs. What do you think that's about? Why do you think people are so engaged by that? Or actually, maybe a better question is, why are you so engaged by it?
Yes, it's weird for one. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but just the way that the body works. For me, it's wow, because it's really just dirt and it's oils, and then it builds up and it it sticks under the skin until somebody goes to get it, either me or a dermatologist if it's really bad. So I really don't know why. It's really gross, but I enjoy it.
Yeah,
Like,
I think one of my grandmother loves it. She finds it really relaxing, and she will do it all day. She's like, she. I think her and I got a cousin who loves to do that. I think my sister does too. And I mean, for me, I don't know, I can't really. I get a little queasy.
yeah. No, it's a fascination for me, because I don't know, like some people have cysts and all types of things living there. It's really, like I said, just dirt and oil. And so once, you finally are able to pop it or however you get it removed, it's just all the stuff that comes out. It's really cool to see.
And probably good for the skin actually as well, right? To get rid of that. Okay, so let's talk about waxing. That's
Please.
your other. that's your. That's your other specialty, right? I mean, how is that, right? Like, have you? This is the question I'm going to ask. Let's see where we go with this. What is like the craziest experience that you've had while waxing? Because you wax everything, like body parts, private parts, like you wax it all. What is like the weirdest thing that you experienced while waxing or during a wax?
Unfortunately, I have had someone that was a little poopy. So,
Did you say poopy? Oh, you gotta give me some details on that. You gotta tell me about that. What happened?
So if I could just give a little backstory.
Okay.
When I was in aesthetic school, we learned to wax, and immediately I was like, yeah, this is not my area. I'm good. I don't need to see anybody's vagina. I don't need to wax it. I'm fine. As far as, I guess, private areas, underarms and legs, I was okay with it. But waxing below the waist, I really didn't care for that. I was like, I'm okay. Once I moved into a salon, people aren't really looking for facials and things. Like, that's not the number one thing. They want to be smooth and they want to be fair. So I had to get into it. So people ask me, have you ever had anybody with, poop, or do anybody smell bad? And I'm like, no. And lo and behold, I did have someone that was poopy, and I'm sure she was embarrassed, and I was embarrassed for her, but...
Well, what did you do? Like, okay, so you're waxing. Were you waxing the front and the back that time?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so you had already waxed the front.
Correct. And
okay, so now we turn over.
Well, my clients lift their legs, so...
Oh, okay, so they're still on their back, and they lift the legs up, like kind of like missionary style.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
wait, what'd you say? You're breaking up a little bit. Say it again.
I said I'm very thorough.
Okay.
So I will have a client like put their leg on my back, like while I lean. So I'm there. I mean, I'm basically, and I don't want to discredit OBGYNs, but I'm an OBGYN without a license.
Okay.
Like, I a degree. I'm literally like down there, and so when she lifted, and you have to, once they lift their legs, you kind of hold one butt cheek. And I was noticing, I said, oh no. And there was there was a family member in there with her, so she ended up actually, taking care of the cleanup. But
Who, the family member did?
Yes, she did.
Girl.
I really didn't know what to say. There was not really a lot for me to say. It was just a look on my face, and the family member was like, what? And I just couldn't say anything. I was just looking at her and then looking down and like, come help me, please. Like, I don't know what to say. I didn't even know how to verbalize it. So,
yikes.
I have baby wipes, so she just got the baby wipes and she cleaned, and yeah.
Did you actually finish waxing her?
Yes.
Oh my God. I hope she gave you a tip.
I don't remember. Her family member is a client of mine, a wonderful client that I love dearly. So she probably did. I don't remember, but yeah, it was. Yeah, I think she had paid in advance or something. But
Well, that's good.
I feel bad because I know she was, ashamed. So it's just, but yeah, that's the wildest story that I
So,
have.
folks, make sure you wash your ass before you go get waxed.
Please take a shower or just get a feminine wipe or something.
Something, hook it up, please,
Yeah,
so
please.
that we can avoid that kind of interaction. That does,
Yeah.
or not, and then you can come on the show and tell us about it again. Okay. Thank you for that. Wow. Okay, let's get back to business though. Okay. Tell us why you started Bougie Body. How did you come up with it? How did you get to this space? Like I don't know that, right? Like I said, I'd never even heard an esthetician before, right? But you could be an esthetician without starting Bougie Body, right? You could just do waxes and pull hairs. But you started this company. You create body butters. You got body oils. You got beard oil, which I use, by the way. Thank you. I'm a client, a long-term client, and you keep my beard giving beard, and I appreciate that. So tell us though, how did you start? How did you get to creating Bougie Body?
It was an accident. It was never intended to be a business. I started making body butter because I had a friend in aesthetic school who I bought body butter from.
Wait, I'm sorry. In what school? What did you say?
Aesthetic school.
Aesthetics school. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you for that.
And I had a friend that was making it, and she ended up passing away. So I just decided to try to make it just for myself because body lotion just wasn't doing it for me. And I bought one small jar of fragrance oil. I made it. I was proud of myself. I posted it on Facebook. And the rest is history. People started asking how could they purchase it. So I had to very quickly find packaging, get a website together, buy oils, and then here we are.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 2.
You say that again?
A year later.
Almost 2. A year later and almost 2, coming up on 2 years, your 2-year anniversary. That's huge. And congratulations, by the way. That is huge. What a wonderful story. I love the fact that, really, I mean, it's like the people, right? You created Bougie Body because the people. For the people, and I appreciate that. Tell us about like some of your challenges. What would you say to somebody who is, maybe just starting a business or thinking about starting a business? What would be like? What would you say to them? Like, what would you, talk about maybe like your challenges even, right? Or the biggest challenge or, that sort of thing. Because, I asked that because, we see a lot of people like starting businesses. And I think most people think that you just start a business and then you're rich, right? It just, you become baller and everything is peachy keen. It's all about like, you get to make your own schedule. You get to sleep all day or whatever the case may be. But we don't often hear about the struggle and the challenges. And I could share some about mine as well. And I will as time goes on. But I'm interested to know from your perspective, what has been what has been like your greatest challenge?
The very first thing I would say is do not compare yourself to others.
That's good.
I've done that several occasions. I still find myself doing that, and I have to grab myself and say, hey, you don't know what they've been through. You don't know how long it's taken them. And most of the people that I see, they've been in business longer than I. And so I can't compare, 5 years to my 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. So So, number one thing, don't compare yourself. Your only competition is you. There is no, everybody has their own lane. You'll get there when you get there. If you work a 9 to 5, use that 9 to 5 to fund your dreams. I totally feel like God was like, okay, go. And I was like, wait, sir, hold on real quick, because you took me too fast. But it's been, I really didn't, I didn't have like a big wad of money saved. And but I'm a firm believer in God. He does keep me. And every time I feel like, well, how am I going to do this? He shows up. And so it's like, okay, well, so if you have faith, that should be number one.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because you need it. You really kind of have to have it to do this.
You have to. Yeah. And if it's not in God, have faith in yourself.
Yeah. No, that's real. That is real. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's huge. And I think the challenge to not compare our lives to others, right, or to not compare our space to others can be a difficult one, right? Like, especially as we can be really hard on ourselves, right? Especially as we get older. It's like, and I challenge myself to not do that as well, because it's like, oh my goodness, these people, they're married, they got kids, and they got money, and this and that, and I'm struggling, or I'm this, and I'm, single, right. Or I'm ugly, right? It's like all those things.
If I'm ugly, say
that. Just say that, right? So no, and I think that's a thing that we have to guard against, right? As entrepreneurs, every business is different, and like I said, what we often see is we see the successes, but we don't post our struggles online. You don't see those on Instagram stories, right? You don't see the time where, you got $5 in your account, or the phones are dry, and you don't know where the next meal is coming from, or the next, client is coming from. We don't get to see that, right? What we see is the busyness. We see the good times, right? We see the being able to work from home. And so obviously there are great benefits to running your own business. But there are lots of challenges too. And so I think, not comparing yourself helps us to sort of contain that, right? Contain some of the anxiety, contain some of the fear, contain some of the attacks of depression, right? It could be really, this is real out here, right? Like, and so we have a tendency to kind of beat up on ourselves too. And so I think you're spot on when you say one of the ways to fight against that is to just not compare yourself to others. Sort of realizing that our journey is just that, it's our own. And owning that and what that looks like. So thank you for that. We're gonna wrap this up quickly in a few minutes here. Not quickly, because I can talk to you all day. But as we do from time to time. Right. I'd like to wrap it up by you telling us about your business, about your products. How do we find you? Like, give us a little bit about Bougie Body and some of the products that you have and how it can help.
Okay, so I make whipped body butters. I have the absolute best body scrub on the planet.
Okay.
And I'm talking about better than your favorite body scrub. Okay?
You better call them out.
I won't say any names, but it's phenomenal. But my body butter, like you said, I make it with love. I do everything with integrity. So I don't ever send out products that I wouldn't use. If I mess up, I start over. I communicate with my clients and my customers, because I want them to know that their money is good with me. You don't, I'm not gonna just do away with you, because I have your money or try to keep it. But I make products from the heart, and I do everything with love and integrity. And they're just wonderful products. I really don't even, I try not to toot my own horn, but
toot it.
I do have receipts to back it up.
Okay, come on, receipts.
I'm on Instagram at All Mine 901 is my personal page. Bougie Body 901 is my business page. I'm on TikTok, where you can find all of the extractions that people love at Drea the Esty is my TikTok name. So
Drea
the Esty.
What? I don't understand. I'm missing that.
Esty is short for esthetician. ESTI.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Because I'm slow. Okay. You also have a wonderful website where people can look at all of your products and see what you have in stock, and they can order. That website is bougiebody901.com. That's BOUJIE body901.com.
Correct.
Okay, and you're also in a shop. You're in a shop where you do this. Where is your shop located, and how do we find the shop?
I am located inside of Love in the Hair Salon. It is on 7886 Winchester, Memphis, Tennessee 38125. That is in the Germantown area for those that are familiar with Memphis. And I'm there Tuesday through Saturdays.
Okay. So if you're in Memphis or you're going to visit Memphis, go over there and get that cat snatch.
Please.
Get your body.
Okay.
What is that?
I do guys too. I don't just service with
facts. Okay, that's important, right? That's really important. I think that's a good thing for people to know. So we wax all body parts, all male, female, and the in between, the non-binary people too. Y'all are welcome. So all of there, and so we appreciate you so much for being on. We'll let you go. Thank you so much, and congratulations on being in business for almost 2 years. You've been 6 months in full time. That is huge. I celebrate you. Beautiful Black woman. We're celebrating and highlighting Black businesses, and so this has been our Apex highlight. Thank you so much. Our very first one. Looking forward to more. Go support our business, y'all. Anything else you want to leave the people with before we wrap up?
I mean, just when you come, if you ever come to the salon, the vibe and the ambiance is there. So, I mean, you'll come back, just for the record.
Just know that to be true.
It's a vibe. I mean, it's a vibe.
Well, you're a vibe friend, so you vibe on, okay? Thanks so much for your time. Wishing you all the best. I will talk to you soon, okay?
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
We will be right back with our motivational moment. As we wrap up the show today, I'm going to end with a motivational moment. And so I want to encourage you to just do it. There comes a time where our planning and the pontificating and the dreaming has to end, right? On any given project. There's you're supposed to plan during the planning stage, but there's a time for action where all the planning, all the talking has to end, and we have to move. And you can only do that by putting one foot in front of the other, taking one step at a time, one bite at the apple, one movement forward, one leap forward, right? And so I want to encourage you to plan during the planning stages, but when it's time to move, sometimes you just have to do it. You may not have all the answers. You may not know what you're doing. You may have lots and lots of questions. And it's okay, right? But the goal is achieving the mission. And there's only one way to do that, right? There's a shift. There has to be a shift between planning and thinking about it and doing it. This podcast is a living, breathing example of that. I've been talking about doing a podcast. I've heard I should do a podcast. Even, planned and pontificated for a while. But it came a time where I had to just leap, to just do it, to just get it done. And so there was a transition from planning to moving. And this is my very own just do it moment. And I encourage you to do the same. So whatever it is that you're dreaming about, whatever that idea is, whatever that passion is, I just encourage you today to just do it. Get out there, take the step. We heard from Andrea today at Bougie Body, and we talked about how there was a need for products and for estheticians, and she just did it. And we'll talk to others about some of the same things in the future. But you can do it, and the time is now. Take the leap, take the jump, and just do it. We'll be right back as we wrap up. Well, friends, it is a wrap. This is our very first episode of Lawyerish, a podcast for the people. Thank you so much for joining this fantastic voyage. I appreciate you guys so much. This is a dream come true. Shout out to our producers at Blackground International, all of my friends who helped me flush this idea out and who challenged me just to move forward. I want to thank Juan and Cheyenne and Brent and Andrea, who helped me come up with a name. I pieced it all together, and we have come up to this point. It's amazing to see this actually come to life. I want to thank you all so much. Shout out to the folks who created this wonderful song, this classic, fantastic voyage, Lakeside. Blessings to them. They're legends, and they're responsible for our vibe today. And so we want to thank them for that. Remember, we're powered by Apex Group, where aptitude meets excellence. Until next time, friends, be well.